The illusion of freedom. They told you that you're free, that you have options, that you get to choose your path. But they never told you what happens when every option leads to the same cage. You wake up every morning to an alarm you didn't choose. You commute to a job you don't love. You nod in meetings, fake smiles, hit quotas. And then you come home too tired to build anything that truly belongs to you. But hey, at least you're not in chains, right? This is the modern illusion. You're told you have freedom, but only within the limits of survival. Want to quit your job and travel the world? Not unless you can afford rent, food, and insurance. Want to follow your passion? Not unless your passion pays. So what do most of us do? We obey. The ancient slave had a master. The modern worker has a boss, a landlord, a loan, and a clock. We may not be whipped, but we are timed, tracked, and taxed. Not owned, but leased out by the hour. You're free, as long as you keep producing. Is that really freedom? Or is it just a more polite kind of prison? Economic chains. Slavery never ended. It just adapted. It got smarter, cleaner, digitized. Today, the chains are invisible, but they're just as tight. You're not physically bound, but your paycheck vanishes before it even arrives. Rent, groceries, electricity, student loans, credit cards, buy now, pay later traps. You're not punished for disobedience. You're punished for poverty. Debt is the new whip. It keeps you compliant, docile, quiet. You won't quit your job because your debt won't quit you. You won't speak up because HR holds your health care. You're not living. You're managing a slow financial collapse in real time. It's not a prison with bars. It's a loop. Earn, spend, owe, repeat. You're exhausted, but you can't stop, because the second you do, everything collapses. They call it the grind. They romanticize it. But it's not noble. It's not brave. It's desperation disguised as work ethic. When survival requires obedience. When debt is designed to outlive the debtor. Then work isn't freedom, it's financial captivity. And your boss might just be your banker. The gig mirage. They promised freedom. Be your own boss, they said. Work whenever you want. But the truth? You're not your own boss. You're just alone with a deadline. Gig work was sold as a revolution, the end of 9 to 5. No managers, no cubicles, just freedom. But what we got was no benefits, no protections, no sick leave, no stability. The only thing flexible is how easily they can replace you. The algorithm is your manager now. It decides when you're useful. It decides when you're seen. You're not a partner. You're a data point in a spreadsheet. You rush through traffic to deliver food, but the customer barely acknowledges you. You hit complete and wait for the next ping like a trained dog. And if you don't smile, if your rating drops below 4.5, you're ghosted. You don't get fired. You just stop existing. This isn't freedom. It's just capitalism without a contract. Risk without reward. Labor without dignity. They didn't liberate the worker. They just eliminated accountability. Welcome to the gig economy, where you're free to be exploited. consent under duress. They say you chose this life. You agreed to the job, you signed the contract. So what's the problem? But here's the question. Can you really consent when there's no other option? What happens when the alternative to work is eviction, hunger, no health care? That's not a choice. That's a threat wrapped in paperwork. You didn't sign up for a dream. You signed up for survival. You didn't choose fulfillment. You chose what would keep the lights on. They call it voluntary. But if you had no real alternative, was it ever voluntary at all? It's like asking someone to swim, but dropping them in the middle of the ocean. If they paddle, is it a free choice or a reflex to not drown? This is consent under capitalism's terms. Coerced compliance, packaged as opportunity. You're told you're lucky to be here. You're told others want your job. And if you hesitate, you'll be replaced by someone more desperate. It's not that you said yes. It's that you couldn't afford to say no. And that isn't consent. That's surrender. Reclaiming our time, our dignity. Not all cages have bars. Not all masters carry whips. Not all slaves know they're enslaved. But the first step to freedom is seeing the system clearly. This isn't about quitting your job. It's about demanding better. A system that extracts maximum labor for minimum reward is not efficiency, it's abuse. Work should not steal your health, your peace, your future. It should support it. We deserve time that belongs to us, a wage that meets reality, rest without guilt, purpose beyond profit. We deserve to be seen as people, not resources to be optimized. They trained us to be grateful for survival, to feel lucky for burnout, to compete over scraps, to fear being replaced more than being mistreated. But something deeper in you knows this isn't how life should feel. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your mind. Reclaim your worth. Even if you're not ready to revolt, you can refuse to lie to yourself. Freedom isn't a fantasy. It's a decision. A slow rebuilding of dignity in a world that tries to sell it back to you. You were never born to be a worker. You were born to be free. You weren't born to chase deadlines. You weren't born to live in fear of Mondays. You weren't born to build someone else's empire. You were born to question, to dream, to reclaim. They gave you a script. Now it's time to write your own.